I have two grandchildren. I have a granddaughter who's 7, and I have a grandson who's going to be 2 on Election Day, next Tuesday.
Okay. The your style of writing, I mean, it's just wonderful. It's a letter to your grandson, but it could be a letter to my granddaughters. You know.
Yes, and that's why we're encouraging people to. I'm glad that you said that, because that's why we're encouraging people to go to our website, which is legacynationusa.com, and they can actually do that. And do what you suggested: write a letter or write a note to their child or grandchild, and post it on there. And what we're going to do with those letters when we get them, when we do have people from around the country who do go on the website and post letters, is we're going to select some letters and we're going to put them in another book. And when we publish that second book, we're going to send a free copy out to anyone who contributed a letter, and that then will become a legacy for their child or grandchild. So the current book is great. We want you to go there and read, get some ideas from it. We also want you to go on our website and post your own letter.
And that is linked. This show, people can listen to this show by going to my website and clicking on. If you save it as a default player in the Blog Talk, then you've got an MP3 that you can send to anybody. And I'm encouraging people to do that. You know, we in fighting this globalization, or whatever you want to call it, in all of its aspects. Actually, the Bible's warned us about all of them. And,
Absolutely.
And to me, you know, I came up with a plan for Liberty Villages, which was simply people living and working together, growing their own food and generating their own energy. And I think that is biblical. I think that's what Joseph did when he went down into Egypt and survived the famines there. I think we're coming up with famines, and I think by powering our homes with the material God gives us, the wind and sun, and by growing our own food, you know, unchipped chickens and non-genetically modified foods, that we're actually living a Christian existence.
Yes. You know, anytime you undertake anything like that, what you're doing sounds really exciting and worthwhile, and it sounds good. And it's pretty easy to distinguish between good and bad today, and you know, that project that you just mentioned sounds very exciting.
Yeah, that's called Liberty Villages, and
where is that now?
Well, it's in my head. It's on my website. It could be anywhere. If what I'm simply trying to put everything back together again. Put my magazine back together again. Put these and these villages could be anywhere. All you got to do is take an old farm or an old ranch and do that. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Okay. Computer's giving me some error messages, but all right, we'll put that off here for a little while. Your website. Now, I haven't got to read the whole book, and I haven't got to examine everything on your website, but you have a statement up on your website. And you mentioned that 180,000 children disappear every year. Every year in the United States.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
A child is reported missing here in the United States every 40 seconds. A child is reported missing to law enforcement authorities in the United States of America every 40 seconds. That other number was a global number, a worldwide number, and that is also accurate. And that is something, when we talk about legacy and preserving and protecting a legacy, is something we should all be concerned about. In the time that we'll spend on your show here today, there'll be over 30 children reported missing in the U.S. That's totally unacceptable. And the problem, Clay, is that with the Amber Alert's a great thing, but it takes about 2 hours to get out an Amber Alert. And statistics show that when there is a crime against children who are abducted, that 75% of those crimes happen within the first hour. So Amber Alerts then become quite powerless. And the technology that we've developed is one we call a Child Protection Technology Team, where a parent can go to our website, become a member of the Child Protection Technology Team, get a mini CD in the shape of a hockey rink, where they will be able to load the current data that describes their children, background information, and all the identifying information that's necessary. And God forbid anything would ever happen to their child, but in the case that it does, they have that mini CD or thumb drive with them. They'll be able to give it to a law enforcement officer, and within 3 minutes, the data will be sent out to law enforcement authorities across the country.
And because the data is on a disk, then the parents are controlling the information on their child. It's not going into some government data bank, and the children aren't going to be required to have a chip in their hand like a pet dog, right?
No, you're exactly right. The parents control all of the data, and the problem is, here's the problem. The problem is when a child is kidnapped or taken, the parents are so distraught, so upset at the moment. Often a law enforcement officer will tell you they can't even describe their own child, what they were wearing, what their hair looked like, that sort of thing. So having the photos and the data on the CD is something that remains in the possession of the parent, and if they choose to give that to the law enforcement officer, of course, that's their right to do that. But the important thing is, as you well know, you have two grandchildren and children. Kids can change their appearance from week to week. So often the information and data we have about children that we do send out through the Amber Alert system is inaccurate. But a parent can put that CD in their own computer, go in and update that information and make that available to law enforcement authorities as current information.
I did a film with Homeland Security. They were talking about in case of a natural disaster, we need 400,000 well-armed, well-trained, organized, disciplined troops, and I took fault with that. Because when we had 9/11, when we had when there's been disasters anywhere around the country, the American people have always responded, helped each other. I was part of a convoy of taking food and diapers and blankets down to Homestead, Florida, when Hurricane Andrew devastated it. And that's what I like about your plan, Legacy Nation. This is people helping each other and protecting each other.
We have to do that. We have to take back our country and start helping one another and not relying on the government to do things that we should be doing for ourselves. And so Legacy Nation is just one little ray of hope in a world where I hope that other people like the project that you described there, we need more things like that. We need to be doing more things like that.
I would like to use this logo that you've got here on your Legacy Nation USA.com. I'd like to put that right next to Liberty Village because that's what it's about. If the Liberty Village concept gets started, my thinking is, if you could grow your own food and you have your own energy, you don't have to worry about AT&T trucks running the lines. You got you're self-sufficient. You're self-sufficient. You are doing what God wants, and if your village is productive, if you're making your own solar, if you're selling your food, you're working within the system, and you're doing it in a godly manner. And that's I'd like to have your Legacy Nation link right below my Liberty Villages.
Well, I will appreciate that, and I hope that your listeners go to the website and get involved with us on the Child Protection Technology Team. And one of the other things that we have going on there, as you may have read, is that we're coming up on the 10th anniversary of 9/11 in 2011. And we have a little promotion on there that we've got together with the National Fallen Firefighters Association to help victims of to help the families of firefighters who have died in the line of